was evening by the time I left. Where to? That is a great question. Where to? Like, we have to go back here at some point. But I'm wondering if this is going to be like the last time where it's like, we go there and it's like, why did I come here? And then like, we just end up, it's just a mandatory scene anyway, we end up going there. Okay. We could go to the other detective guy. I don't think that's the move. Let's go to Shinjuku. I arrived at Shinjuku. It hit me that I hadn't been here in days. Not that I need to go back to the office with all the stuff currently on my plate. Besides, I doubted I'd have any new clients. A familiar face passed by me at that moment. I didn't get a good look before he blended into the crowd, but if that wasn't him, he had a pretty uncanny doppelganger running around. Perfect. Had some more questions for him. Made my way through the crowd and looked for Katsuragi. Eventually, I ended up all the way at my office. But though the crowds were all but gone, I didn't spot hide nor hair of Katsuragi. Still determined to get my answers, I decided to circle back to the station. At long last, I found him in front of the Nico department store by the east exit. He was talking with some girl I'd never seen. Must have been a fan, judging by the copy of The Egg of Nionis she carried. It seemed Katsuragi was autographing it for her. The girl happily took it and thanked him profusely before leaving.
本当に人気があるようですね。
あ、時坂さんでしたか。先ほどはどうも。いや、お恥ずかしいところを見られてしまいましたね。
Katsuragi smiled awkwardly.
今度はちゃんと名前を伺ってからサインしましたよ。小林さんというそうです。
It's not easy being famous sometimes.
そうですか。
彼女、いや、今の方ではなく、西園さんとお話ししていた時には、そういうことに気が回りませんで。
西園由衣さんとは病院で会っ
ええ、嫌だな。もうそんなことまで調べがついているんですか？
おだてても何も出やしませんよ。
I carefully observed Katsuragi as we talked. They were certainly sketchy. There was nothing about him that definitively pointed to him being the murderer. It seemed a bit odd, but that was all. Still, I couldn't rule him out as a suspect, better safe than sorry.
そういえば先日、そこの紀ノ国屋書店で何かを開催されていましたね。
7日の出版記念会ですね。まさか、そんな前から僕のことを調べていたんですか？
いえ、実はこの近くに事務所がありましてね。
Damn, didn't get as much as I was hoping out of that.
ああ、そうだ。紀ノ国屋書店で思い出しました。今からちょっと担当の方とお話をしてくるのですが。
Seriously? Well, wasn't expecting that.
いえ、仕事がありますから。
そうですか。それは
Katsuragi looked genuinely
ま
disappointed.
たいつか機会がありましたらぜひ。それでは。
また今度。
Katsuragi turned around. Seriously, I had no idea what to make of the guy. Okay, okay. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, so just in case, right? Let me save again. Just in case. We're gonna save. I don't know if this is gonna be a mandatory thing that pops up or not, because I want to go there and get my answers there. But if it's gonna be a mandatory thing where I click there and it's like, well, there's no reason for me to be here, and he's like, anyway, I should go to the clinic, then obviously I don't want to waste my time doing that. So I'm gonna click on Moon World. If that's not the case, I'll reload, go there. I arrived at Moon World. However, Kyoko burst out at the front door, so I was about to step inside.
時坂君、初音ちゃん見なかった？
初音くん？いや、 見ていないが。
お買い物を頼んだんだけれど、まだ帰ってこないのよ。
Kyoko's eyes restlessly darted around.
最近この辺りでも事件が多いでしょ。ちょっと探してくるからお店見ていてくれる？
Kyoko, please. Kyoko, please. Kyoko. I'll go look for her. I'm the detective.
落ち着けよ京子。俺が探しに行くよ。
時坂君？
もし初音くんが戻ってきた時、お前がいなければ何事かと思うだろう。
じゃあお願いしてもいい？
ああ、任せておけ。
Kyoko didn't seem reassured by that, so I promptly left to put her fears to bed as soon as possible. I ran over to the station and checked the area. The station was swarming with people since it was rush hour and all. Unfortunately, not a single one of them looked like Hatsune. Oh crap, guess I'll look elsewhere. Crossed the Choa line and headed to the station's south side. It didn't take long for me to spot Hatsune sitting on a bench by the pond in Inokashihara Park. The rest of her name got caught in my throat before it came out. For some reason, Hatsune was staring at the ground, her head hanging. I hesitated, wondering if it would be best to give her some space for the time being. However, my deliberation was soon rendered pointless when Hatsune looked up and noticed me.
初音くん、近頃は物騒だからあまり一人で出歩かない方がいい。
すみません。
I sat down next to Hatsune after her head drooped again.
まあ君は大丈夫だろうと思うけど、京子が心配している。
Given the criteria for the victim so far, it was highly unlikely Hatsune was on the killer's radar after all.
ダメですね、私。危機感が足りないんです。
初音くん？
Now it was my turn to get worried.
昔働いていたお店、雪代も事件に巻き込まれ、たくさんの大切な人が亡くなりました。
The Ueno dismemberment serial killings from 5 years ago, huh?
すごく悲しかったです。ずっとお世話になっていた方たちでしたから。
Hatsune clenched her hands into fists.
でも、母様や修吾様、修吾さんがいてくれたから私は大丈夫でした。
She stared off into the distance.
修吾様はずっと私の憧れの人でした。
Hatsune didn't bother correcting herself this time.
優しくて温かくていろいろなことを教えていただきました。
Debatable.
あいつは妙に義理がたいところがあるからな。
ええ、本当にいい方です。数多くの困難を乗り越えてカズナさんとご結婚された時は、でも私はそんな修吾様を素直にお祝いできなかった。
Hatsune watched a family taking a stroll through the park.
私はあまりにも世間を知らなかったんです。私の世界は雪代の中だけで完結していましたから。
今は違うんだろう？
ええ、もう子供じゃありませんから。修吾さんとカズナさんをきちんとお祝いしていますよ。
Hatsune suddenly rose to her feet.
帰りましょう、時坂さん。京子さんが心配しているのですよね。
あ
I got up as
あ、
well.
最近高城のところに顔を出したかい？
いいえ、なんだか足が重くて。
暇があるなら行ってみるといい。奴もカズナさんも喜ぶだろう。
はい。
Hatsune nodded, voice brimming with vim and vigor. Yay. The sun had already set by the time I got home.
おかえりなさい、兄さん。
ただいま。
もうすぐ夕ご飯ができますから少し待っていてくださいね。
ああ。
Yukata vanished into the kitchen. She didn't seem any different than usual. That probably meant she hadn't been informed of Otohime's death. They'd announce it at school tomorrow, though, so I figured it best to keep that to myself.
お待たせしました。
Yukata came back with food on a tray. Ugh, forget about it, Reiji. Food first, thinking later. I retired to my room after having dinner and a bath. I sat on a floor cushion and puffed a cigarette. Upon glancing at the tiny calendar on the wall, it dawned on me once again that today was the 16th, meaning tomorrow was March 17th.
もう6年経
I had to go visit her grave tomorrow. Fortunately, it didn't seem I was due to teach any classes that day, so it worked out nicely. Though even if I were busy, that wouldn't have stopped me from mourning at Yukiko's grave as I had the last few years. That was all I could do for her. She too had been the victim of a serial killer. One whom I'd failed to stop. And now was screwing up all over again.
バカ野郎が。
What good would wimping out do me? I already swore there'd be no more victims. What's more, it felt like I'd finally narrowed down the suspects. The case was as good as closed. All it'd take was a few more days. I had to put an end to this murder spree, fast. But tomorrow... I turned off the lights. Tomorrow, I had to visit Yukiko's grave. The human chair, I don't like the sound of that. Ah, hell no, not the human chair. Oh, I have to duck out of the way.
一人がいいと
Oh, Jesus.
ずっと思っていた。何事にも煩わされないし、面倒が少ないと。だけれど、初めて知った。大切な人が近くにいることが、こんなにも素晴らしいなんて。一人の寂しさを知った。もう離れたくない。
Mm-hmm. Hikari stood at the door, garbed in her uniform.
ああ、気をつけてな。
兄さんはユキコさんのところへ。
ああ。悪いが、ゆかり。
ええ、分かっています。お一人で行かれるのでしょ。
すまないな。
If there was ever a time and place I needed to be alone, this was it.
私は後で行きますから、お気になさらずに。
Hikari left. I better hit the road too. Hey, wait though, wait though, you know? Like, wait though, you know? Because I said I was gonna, because we didn't go to the clinic. We didn't go to the clinic. We need our paper stuff, right? We didn't go to the clinic. As much I got distracted by that nice little moment with Hatsune and whatnot. I'm like, wait. Where's my clinic moment? We were supposed to go to the clinic in the evening, right? But believe me, I had a good reason this time. Here we go. It was about the paper that had been in Orahime's mouth. Forensic should have been done with it by now.
おや時坂はん、えろ早かったおすな。
夏目さんが夕方までには分かると言ってたんじゃないですか。
早いのは嫌われません。
Yeah, I'm just gonna ignore that one.
文字の書いてた紙切れの方は鑑定済んどりますけどな。もう一個のはもうちょい待っておくんなもし。
時間がかかるんですか。
あんな時坂はん、まだ仏さん運ばれてから何時間も経ってへんのやで。うちに備え働けたなんて無体なこと言わんでおくんな
Can I
もし。
slang some dick to speed up this process?
働いてください。
時坂はんが頑張ってくれるんやったら。
That's when I stared at my crotch.
で、片方は済んでるんでしょ。早く教えてください。
If I can expedite the process, whatever. I'll slang dick. Let's do it. Like we need to get this show on the road. People are dying out here. If all it takes is slanging some dick to get that done, all right, let's go.
相変わらずいけずよ。まあ、そこがええんですけど。紙切れは前と同じですわ。西園結飯の筆跡をす。唾液は月島織姫派。
やはりそうです。
Now the evidence I needed.
では引き続き鑑定をお願いします。
帰るますか？
俺だって忙しいんですよ。魚住でも誘ってやればいいじゃないですか。あいつも女ひでりですし。
Lord knows he could use a booty call.
魚住藩は身持ち固いんやもん。
帰ります。
God, why do I have to put up with this every single time?
ただいま。
Okay. Uh-huh, blah blah blah, all that. Room tomorrow. Okay. That's the thing. As nice as that moment with Hatsune was, I wanted my answers. I wanted more evidence. All right. Anyway, yeah, it's grave time. Yep, Kanto 7, human chair. Still don't like the sound of that. Yeah, it's March 17th. We're waxing the moon.
あ
私は後で
Uh-huh. Guy left, better throw 2. There we go. I left home and first stopped at Kichijoji. From the stores there, I bought chrysanthemums and an incense stick. I spotted several girls in Noble Girls Academy uniforms amidst the crowds emerging from the station, but none of them noticed me. Or maybe they did, but had chosen to ignore me. They seemed the same as ever for the time being. But they'd all be informed of Orahime's death today. Would they mourn once they learned? Or would the school not even allow them to shed a tear? I crossed the train tracks and marched onward until I reached a cemetery at a temple in Mitaka. Someone had been tailing me since Kichijoji Station. I could feel it. He had been planning to visit alone.
出てきたらどうだトウコ。
なんだやっぱりバレていたのか
Toko emerged from behind the graves, not the slightest bit of guilt tinging her face.
花なんて買っているからどこへ行くのかと思ったんだ
菊を持っていたら行く場所なんて一つだろ
もしかしたら菊人形店に行くのかもしれないじゃないか
う。そんなわけないだろう。
For the love of God. Imprudent as she may have been, I couldn't find in myself to be mad at her. Why
なん
not?
てね嘘
No.
私もお参りしていいかな
No.
まあ、あいつも賑やかな方が嬉しいかもしれないな。
ゆきこさんだっけ
Toko studied my face as we walked side by side.
あここだ。
We reached the grave. The tombstone had already been cleaned and decorated with flowers. Kyoko must have already paid her respects. I took my chrysanthemums and added them to the bouquet.
あれでもこのお墓時坂家
うちのお墓だ。
結婚してたの
いや、
I crouched down and lit the incense stick.
向こうの家が首のない遺体を墓に入れるのを嫌がったんだよ。
Toko gasped. I paid her no heed and began praying. It had been 6 years to the day since then. The city and the people living in it had changed a lot in that time. And honestly, so had I. I changed my job and my way of life. I had to. There was no way I could have gone on living otherwise. That was what I had to do to survive. And yet,
お前は変わっていないんだな。
the Yukiko in my heart looked exactly the same as she did 6 years ago. The way she always had since that accursed incident. The pregnant woman was brutally murdered in January 1950. She was found strangled to death with her abdomen slit open, her fetus torn out, and gruesomely nailed to a cross like the Son of God himself. Ozumi, Takashiro, and I, who were all officers in the Ueno Police Department's Criminal Investigation Division at the time, were assigned to the case. The victim was an unlicensed prostitute who operated in the Ueno area. The killer's macabre MO was noted for its similarities to the Tomonoi dismemberment murder back in 1932, but otherwise the investigation made frustratingly little progress. At the time, it was believed that the killer was a customer of the victims, judging from her profession and location, and so the police centered their investigation around that assumption. Unfortunately, the victim's clientele were as innumerable as the stars. There were far too many we couldn't locate, and it was all but impossible to narrow down the suspect from that pool. Thus, the body count continued to pile up with us having nothing to show for it.
疲れてるの
Yukiko's voice jolted me out of my stupor.
いや、そんなことないぞ。
今寝そうだった
Yukiko poked my cheek as she snuggled into me underneath our futon.
ユキコの体が気持ちよくてさ。
I hugged her tightly.
もうまたそうやってごまかすんだから
Yukiko's warm breaths tickled my cheeks.
当たってる
何が？
I pressed my hips against her as I asked that question.
意地悪
Yukiko gently shifted her body after pouting for a moment. Oh. Wow. It's... Yo, on this day of remembering the death of your fiance. Yo, we look back. I remember that night where she gave me a beach in the middle of the night. That's what really comes to mind. I mentioned about her being, decapitated to Toko, but as I sit here and reminisce, oh yeah, she once gave me a beach. That was pretty dope. And actually, judging by how undressed she is in this scene, I'm assuming it's going to turn into more than that. I have to stop. I have to stop it. Mind if I come? That line fucking killed me. Mind if I come? For one, phrasing like that, oh, mind if I do this, is fucking hilarious. But then the fact that there's a little pause, just like, mind if I come? Oh fuck, dude. That took me out of it, man. That fucking took me out of it. Holy shit. Oh shit. Mind if I come? Oh fuck. I had to pop in to put that in there. That's oh, what a gentleman, Reiji. What a gentleman. No, oh shit, I'm about to come. No, it's mind if I come? Oh, Reiji. Like, was that necessary? Is that okay? Man's having a flashback to his dead fiance. It's just like, ah, yeah, gotta remember the sex. I don't know, who knows, maybe the sex will play an important part later. I don't fucking know, but still. I doubt it, but also, pale moonlight bathed us as we slept together.
ね
なあ
The two of us spoke practically in unison.
え何
Okay, your titties is covered up.
お
Like,
前から言えよ
I caressed Yukiko's hair as she gazed up at me.
先に
俺から
I'd finally decided to take the plunge, but was chickening out now that I knew she had something to say as well. Still, I knew I'd have to speak up eventually.
分かったよ
I reached for a bag by my pillow and took out a small package.
これやるよ
I placed it in her hand.
これは
Yukiko blinked with surprise, yet there was no hiding the expectation in her eyes. Ugh, how embarrassing.
開けてみろよ
Yukiko opened the package with her dainty fingers. She gasped when she saw what was inside.
結婚しようユキコ
I put my hand over the ring as I mustered all my courage to utter those fateful words.
よかった
Okay, so I mean, I see the significance in remembering this night, but damn. God, remember that night where we fucked so good I just had to propose on the spot? Like, damn, homie. You must be slanging some A1 dick then. Yukiko looked up at me.
やっぱりレイジから先に行ってもらって
A lone tear trailed down her cheek and plopped onto my chest.
いいのか
もちろんこれからも末永くよろしくお願いします
And then the next day. The two of us snuggled together as I slipped the ring onto her left finger.
ちょっと小さいかな
And yet Yukiko held her hand out to the moonlight and stared lovingly at it.
それでユキコの言いたかったことは
ちょっと
Yukiko took my hand and guided it to her stomach.
ここにね新しい命が宿ったの
God damn.
本当か
Yeah, I kind of figured that's where it was going because he mentioned like the serial killer was targeting like pregnant women and whatnot.
こんなこと冗談で言うわけないじゃない
Yukiko sounded rather miffed. Then, right beneath my hand was...
ねレイジから先に行ってよかったでしょちゃんと結婚の約束が先にできたんだから
俺はずっと前からそのつもりだったんだぞ。
知ってる。
Yukiko smiled.
今日病院に行ってきたの。そしたらおめでたですよって担当
Rokushiki.
の六式先生が。
Rokushiki. Where had I heard that name before? Oh, was he the murderer? I'm like, I know I've heard that name before. Rokushiki. Oh, can I not check my notebook right now? I can't. I guess I don't get notebook privileges during flashbacks. Alright. Was that where I'd heard it? That he was the murderer? So he found out that she had gotten pregnant, but wasn't married. And so he's like, oh, now I gotta kill the bitch. Yukio looked up at me as I slipped my button-down shirt on.
なんだよ。
なんでもないわよ。
She kept grinning impishly.
今日も忙しいの？
そうだな。もしかしたら泊まりになるかもしれない。
そっか。
Yukiko got up and donned a jacket.
ゆかりの面倒を見ておいてもらえるか。
え、いいわよ。あ、ネクタイ曲がってる。
Yukio reached for my chin.
これでよし。
ありがとな。それじゃ行ってくる。
え、いってらっしゃい、レイジ。あ、こんなところにあったのね。
Yukio produced a small box while checking the closet.
何か見つかったのか？
I stopped organizing my books and turned to her.
ええ、九州で発掘作業した時に見つかった石器のかけらが出てきたのよ。
なんでそんなのがうちにあるんだ？
忘れたの？レイジが欲しいって言ったからあげたんじゃない。
Yukiko was pouting.
そうだったか？
どうしてそういうこと忘れるかな？
Yukiko opened the box. Inside was a small obsidian chunk wrapped in cotton.
ああ、思い出した。そういや、そんなことも言ったな。
やっと思い出した？
なあ、こういうのって勝手に所持するのは違法なんじゃないのか？
違法だったらどうするの？
まあ、もう時効だろうな。
魚住くんだったらどう言うと思う？
あいつだったら元のところに埋めてこいって言うだろうな。
そうかもしれないわね。ほんと同じように警察官になったのに。
当たり前だ。あんな融通が利かないと一緒にされてたまるか。
昔はみんなでバカなことばかりしてたのにね。懐かしいな。ねえ。
My river was interrupted by Yukiko's
なん
voice.
だ。眠れないのか？
ええ。
Yukiko gripped my hand.
この子の名前考えてくれた？
Steve. I placed my hand on her stomach. Heat was palpable even through her clothes.
男か女かも分かっていないだろう。
Steve.
両方考えてよ。
Ah, Steve and Steve.
そう言われてもな。まだ何の実感もないからな。
Yukiko pinched my hand.
ちゃんと考えてよ。私だって実感がないんだから。
I think something sunk in for you. I
で
mean,
もここに。
私が生まれた時のこと話したわよね。
I mean, you didn't tell me, so you might as well give us a recap. Her voice grew as transient as the wind.
あ
Yukiko's birth had apparently been exceptionally difficult. As a result, her mother died in labor, while Yukiko herself had been born so early that she towed the line between life and death for a while.
私は大丈夫かな。
Some tells me that childbirth won't be the worst of your issues in the near future. I just tried to hide it. I could hear the hints of deep-seated terror in her voice.
大丈夫だよ。
I hugged her and ruffled her hair.
俺がついているから何も心配するな。
I mean, as I learned from the visual novel I just finished reading, that's not going to do a whole lot to help.
レイジ、
俺を信じろ。二人で幸せになろう。
Yeah, that doesn't...
ありがとう。元気出たよ。
Yukiko gripped my hand. I gently squeezed back to feel the ring on her left hand. It wasn't long until March arrived. The death toll had reached 5, so the police were desperate to find whatever clues they could on this elusive serial killer. All the victims had been pregnant. Also, some digging had revealed that every last one of them had expressed anxiety over their upcoming births. They'd all been women who were prostitutes, unmarried, or poor. Basically, those who'd considered abortions over bringing a child into an environment where they couldn't provide for it. We figured we were dealing with a religious zealot based on the fact that the bodies were always crucified, so we investigated all the faithful in the city from A to Z, only to end up empty-handed. And then in the middle of March, Yukiko went missing. I couldn't believe it. The very idea that Yukiko would have considered an abortion sounded preposterous to me. After all, we'd sworn we'd build a happy family together. However, I also recalled how Yukiko had once confided her fears about ending up like her mother to me. Even so, I refused to entertain the possibility. She still never could have considered an abortion. She just couldn't have. Thus, I looked for the doctor who had been taking care of Yukiko. However, I failed to find him. Dr. Makoto Rokushiki was a so-called midwife who didn't own his own practice. Well, fuck, yikes. What's more, he was an unlicensed doctor who wasn't even registered as a midwife. A back alley doctor in all but name. Okay. It just gets more and more suspicious. I don't know why he ain't fucking, like, jumped there. However, his skills were top-notch, so he'd worked at many major hospitals. There were many doctors like that in the chaos following the war, so no one so much as batted an eye about his credentials. Oh, okay. I guess I don't know too much about post-war. My bad. The police swiftly issued a nationwide APB for Makoto Rokushiki. They quickly concluded that he was behind all the other serial killings as well. But for all the paperwork we rummaged through, we couldn't find a single thing on him. He didn't have a family register, much less a resume or even a mugshot. All we had to go on was his name. And on the morning of March 17th, 1950... a tiny package was delivered to my house. Oh, fuck. In it was Yukiko's left hand, clutching a lily. The silver ring was still on her finger, shining dimly. Yukiko was found by the end of the day, but I didn't recognize it was her right away. Yikes. We discovered a body crucified at a drainage channel, missing its left hand and head. Toko and I trudged from Yukiko's grave to Inokashira Park in absolute silence. Even the usually chatty Toko was just quietly walking ahead of me. I matched my pace with hers, trailing lightly behind her steps.
後悔してる？
何を？
私にユキコさんについて話をしたこと。
なぜそう思う？
だって時坂さん、悲しそうな顔しているから。
Well, of course he's gonna be sad thinking about it. I don't know, you look sad thinking about it. I just feel like maybe you regret. It's like, no shit. He's thinking about like, oh yeah, I remember when I found my fucking fiance decapitated and fucking crucified. Like, yeah, no, this is gonna make him feel a bit sad. Doko turned back to me.
寂しいの？
もう6年も経ったんだから。
I cut myself short, drifting off into thought. How many times had she asked me by this point?
いや、寂しかったのだろうな。
寂しかった？
寂しさを覚えないようにしていた。というのが正しいのかもしれない。少しでも立ち止まると、どうしても思い出してしまうから。
私が思い出させちゃったの？
いや、トウコが思い出させてくれたんだ。
え？
目を背けていても、起きてしまったことは何も変わりはしないんだ。
Right. These two incidents truly do share a lot of similarities.
やっぱり時坂さんは強いな。私は大切なことからいつも目をそらしてばかりだから。
Doko looked up.
前にも言ったでしょ。時坂さんと私は
Her voice rang like a melodious bell.
好きとか嫌いとかそういう感情じゃないんだ。私は多分誰からも愛されていないのだと思うんだ。
Damn, that's quite a revelation. I don't think anyone's ever loved me. Like, eesh. Good luck with that, kid.
だから好きとか嫌いとかそういうのがしっくりこないんだよね。
トウコ？
そう、しっくりこないんだ。
Okay, I guess, you know, she's returning the whole I spilled my guts, you spill yours. Alright. Fair enough. Doko quietly sat on a bench.
意味は分かっているつもりなんだけれどね。私が時坂さんに抱いている感情は
そういった言葉じゃ表せないものなんだ。
Ayo. She looked into my eyes.
ただこれだけははっきりしているんだ。
Ayo. Reiji, that's a high schooler. Don't do it. It's one thing to pipe down the corner, don't. I sat down next to her.
だって私たちは同じだから。同じだから。
And before I even knew what I was doing, I took Toko into my arms, cutting off everything else she was going to say.
君が誰からも愛されていないなんてことはない。
Easy, Reiji. Reiji. Steady, boy. Steady. Easy. You're towing a fine line here. Remember, that is a high schooler. That is a high schooler. You're an adult man. I know. This is the 50s, and people are a lot less, worried about that kind of thing. But I'm gonna need you to pump the brakes, my guy.
時坂さんは私を愛してはならないんだ。
Exactly.
私はそんなもの
At
求め
least
ちゃい
not
ない。
in the way it seems to be going, alright? I'm all for, like, a very basic, honestly, I don't even know. Love just seems like way too strong of a word to be using between what y'all got here. Like, I appreciate the sentiment he's trying to get across. Like, hey, don't say that shit. Don't be like, no one loves you. I'm sure there's someone out there who cares. I appreciate the sentiment, but also between y'all, like, I wouldn't call that love either. But also, hey, Reiji, easy. Toko was being as stubborn as ever.
好きか嫌いかの二択ならばきっと好きなんだと思うよ。
That's great. Let's pump the
で
brakes.
もそれでも愛なんていう曖昧模糊な存在を介在させてはなら
Yeah,
ないんだ。
yeah, love get between you.
私たちは弱虫だから。
Though you should let something be between you. Y'all should not be close together. You know what I'm saying?
私たちは弱虫だから。
Especially with each other. Especially with each other. Indulge in love in other places, but definitely not with each other. Toko touched my cheek. No? Yeah, no. Hey, yeah, no.
かもしれないな。
Do not sleep with the high schooler. Like, I'm sorry, Reiji. I don't know how old you are exactly, but I'm gonna say don't do that. Do you not have a list on yourself? What the hell, Reiji? Do you have an entry on yourself? I can't see. I can't look into how old you are, buddy. Kinda suspicious, my guy. But also, yeah, no. Don't. Just don't. I hate that was even an option. Oh, well maybe I should just, nope. Keep your dick out of the high schoolers, Reiji. I wrapped my hand around Toko's fingers.
そうなんだよ。
With that, Toko let me go.
帰ろう、時坂さん。
ああ。送っていく。
I don't care if I just like fucked up the ending of the game or whatever. Like, oh no, you need to sleep with her to get the good ending. No. We're not sticking our dick in high schoolers. Not when we're a grown ass man. It's different when I'm playing a game where it's like the main character's a high schooler and the love interest is also a high schooler. That's a different story. But we're talking grown ass man and high schooler. No. And not the shit like, oh, I trauma dumped about my dead wife. Oh, I trauma dumped about how no one loves me. Let's bone about it. Like, nope. No, let's not fuck about it, you know? Like, I took the train back to my office in Shinjuku after dropping off Toko. We must indulge in love, huh? Indulge in love in other places. In other places, my guy. Find an actual adult woman, maybe, you know? An actual adult woman. Maybe, you know, just a suggestion, but keep your dick out of the high schoolers. Just my suggestion. Just what I'd put out there. Just my personal preferences, you know. She was right. I didn't have time for that. It's not about time. It's not about having the time for it. It's not about like, oh, I'm too busy to be piping you down. No, that's not my issue. Believe me, if it would have been a grown-ass woman, I would have said, go for it, Reiji. Get your dick wet. Who cares? That's not a grown-ass woman. And when I still had so much left to consider. Like, should I be piping high schoolers? The answer is no. I opened the envelope that was in my mailbox. Though it bore no stamp, I could tell it was from Natsume. Natsume. Oh, that's coroner lady, right? I'm sitting there like, who the fuck is Natsume? Not that she would ever come all the way out to Shinjuku to deliver it, of course. She must have sent her sister or someone else to do her dirty work. In any case, the envelope contained a forensics report on that scrap of paper I found on Orihime's body. Apparently the blood on it was a perfect match for hers. Furthermore, there were 2 sets of fingerprints found on it. One belonged to an adult man, while the other was a woman's. The latter had been identified as Orihime Tsukishima's. However, the origin of the male set remained a mystery. I stared at the scrap of paper enclosed in the envelope. Now, where have I seen this before? If it was from a book, then maybe it was that one. Flipped through my notebook. I wonder what book he could be thinking of. Yeah. Took out my copy of The Egg of Neonis. That's right. The scrap looks just like the flap of this book's dust jacket. It lined up precisely with the book's synopsis. Why had the scrap been on Orihime? The dust jacket of the copy in her room wasn't torn like that. Then, maybe it came from the culprits. If so, that meant the killer owned a torn copy of the novel. An adult man, huh? All of a sudden the phone rang. Few people would have called me at this hour, meaning it was probably... Yep, Uozumi. Knew it. Now I had that definitive link between the victims I've been hunting for all these weeks. With that established, there was just one thing left to do.
いつでも警察を。
目星はついたのか？
ああ。明日までにはっきりさせる。
In other words, tonight would be the climax. Hot.
わかった。いつでも連絡をよこしてくれ。
Uozumi hung up. Alright, time to put on my thinking cap. What? First of all, who was the victim in the initial incident? The dismembered corpse found in Inokashira Park. Flip through my notebook. That was... Haruka, right? She was the Inokashira Park one? Right, it was Seiki, right? He was the victim? No. Man, I wish there was a way to, like, sort this, you know? Okay, it was Haruka, right? Yui's missing, but she's not dead. Yeah, Kei was the one at the cemetery. Uh-huh. Obviously we know where Orihime was. She definitely wasn't the first. Chiki, Yukiko Miyama, Yumi Takegawa was the most... Not the most recent one, but she was the head snap one. That was right. That was the one I couldn't remember earlier. She was the one who got her head snapped backwards. Yeah, so it was Haruka. According to Natsume, the corpse's head was Haruka Imamura's. However, the fingerprints were Yui Nishizono's. So in other words, I had to assume the body was a mishmash. The arms were Yui Nishizono's, while the head and legs were Haruka Imamura's. They were disposed of together to disguise the fact that there were 2 victims instead of just one. Furthermore, the victims had something else in common, and that was... Oh yeah, both Yui and Haruka were Oba Girls Academy. No, that isn't it. Either Kei Koizumi... Oh, you're talking about all... Okay, he was talking about all the girls. I thought he was talking about just the first 2. Okay, the victims. See, when he was talking about, like, they were disposed together about 2 victims, I thought he was talking about those 2 victims specifically. Okay, yeah. That's right. They call themselves Schisma. Now, what is Schisma? Prostitution ring. Prostitution ring composed of students. And who was their leader? Well, if I had to say, it would be Orihime. Right. Orihime Tsukishima. There was even testimony backing that up. What's more, the corpses of the Schisma members all had something in common. Well, several things, but the main one was... their corpses alluded to the Egg of Neonis. Right, the corpses alluded to the punishments in Shinkazaragi's The Egg of Neonis. Though said punishments were nearly identical to those in the Divine Comedy, the broken black eggs marked a definitive difference. Now time for the biggest question. Who's the culprit behind these murders? I have a pretty good idea by now. What? You do. You have a pretty good idea? A pretty good idea. It was Kyoko. That son of a bitch. She was right under our nose the whole time. I have, like, some vague ideas. But there's no one I could, like, point a finger to and be like, it was that motherfucker. Motherfucker. So, one that stands out, Kasaka. The homeroom teacher has access to the Pathological Research Institute. Yo, potentially. I've suspected this guy for a while. Yo, he owns his own clinic out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Obviously has, like, medical experience. Obviously, Murase gives us weird fucking vibes. He's an anesthesiologist, right? So he would know all like how to, like, all the different, like, medications and shit to, like, numb pain and whatnot. He would know how to give, like, the right dosages and shit. Seems to be a crusty individual. I never noticed that line. That's great. Yui Nishizono. They said that the fingerprints were hers. I still don't think that absolves her. I think that's my biggest issue. I think it's him, but I could also see it being him, and even a further stretch, I could see it being him. I feel like he's too obvious of an answer. Just his general attitude and personality, along with his looks, I feel like he's just painted to be like the big, like, oh, look at this villainous guy right here. I feel like it's just way too obvious of an answer, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong, right? This motherfucker gives me weird vibes. Like I said, his shady clinic out in the middle of the fucking woods. The fact that their family's all hush-hush about shit. The fact that, yo, there's the whole fucking artwork thing. Where's Shinzo Mamiya? Yeah. There's the whole thing with, like, yo, him being close with this family and the whole her being a part of the You're asking me to just come out and point a finger at the suspect. Just to come out and point a finger at the suspect. My gut tells me it's him. My gut tells me it's him. Yes, he's the author. He's a little bit shady. He had contact with Yui. My gut tells me it's him. My gut tells me it's him. I could see potentially him or him, but my gut is saying it's him. I'm strictly following my gut here. If we are strictly following what my gut is telling me, it's him. Tatsuki Kusaka. Dr. Saito said he was Yui Nishizono's brother. That meant Kusaka had strong ties to her, and yet he didn't seem all that shaken up by her disappearance. Sure, I hadn't met him until almost 2 months after the fact, but still, it was just way too unnatural, at least to me. None of the people I investigated, much less Open Girls Academy staff, knew he was Nishizono's brother. Wouldn't that normally have been something he'd reveal right away? Wouldn't most people have begged me to find their sister? I knew I would have if I were in his shoes. Yet he did none of that, meaning maybe he knew where she was, dead or alive. He was indeed the most suspicious when taking all of that into account. And so yeah, that's a good point. He mentions the whole dead or alive thing, because that's the thing. We still don't know Yui's status. We know that her fingerprints are on the body, that those are her fingerprints that are associated to the body, but we haven't truly found Yui's body to know that she's dead. We know Haruka's for sure dead because that's her head sitting there. There's no way bitch survived being decapitated. But I'm sure there's a way to like fuck with fingerprints and transfer that shit. I'm sure. Is that kind of tech readily available in the 50s? Fuck if I know, but I'm sure there's a way to manipulate fingerprints and like put someone else's fingerprints on there to like take the attention away from someone else if Yui is involved. Because like my brain's been kind of thinking they're like a brother-sister duo, right? However, his connection to the other victims was tenuous at best. He was simply a teacher to some of them. Did I have anything that could implicate him? Oh. Did I have anything that could implicate him directly? Fuck. That is a good question. Is there anything in our evidence that could implicate the brother? So let's just start from the top. Yeah, Toko's request doesn't matter. Located in Inokashira Park, arm, legs, head found, but torso missing. Okay. Buried to ground, focus stuck above dirt, left arm was severed, identified as Kei Koizumi. That doesn't help. 20 centimeter hole, ground was carefully leveled, doesn't help. Lied face down, the area below the knee was bent, stuck out of the ground, and fired. The body was exposed within 5 hours of death. The left arm was severed by what appears to have been a hatchet. Vital reactions detected. The abdomen was cut open by what appears to have been a knife. Then the uterus was removed when it was signs of sexual intercourse detected. However, it does not appear to have been a rape homicide. It had previously received an abortion. Old man witnessed something burning late the previous night. Saw no one suspicious. Quiet night, but no screams or unusual sounds. Excuse me. Nishizono disappeared mid-January, while Haruka Imamura vanished mid-February. Young girl's corpse was discovered in Inokashira Park at the crack of dawn on February 29th. The body was found by an old man who lives nearby, since there was nothing here when he passed the night before. Vital reactions detected in the cut surfaces of the head and legs. Torso not found. 2-week-old maggots found in the corpse, even though the body had only been cooked a week. The corpse's fingerprints hadn't been positively ID'd, but were a match for the samples taken from Yui Nishizono's letters. Yeah, the fingerprints hadn't been positively ID'd, but they were a match for samples. So we don't know for sure. Was ID'd from pictures of a missing person as Haruka Imamura, but the fingerprints didn't match, possibly someone else's. Fingerprints matched the ones taken from Yui Nishizono's letters. Okay. Clapgraphs, Taurus, cups were tomato juice, man's ball, wife's definitely gonna give him hell. Case that resulted in fiance's murder, a series of murders, fetuses ripped out, bears a striking resemblance to this case. All the students seem down at the dumps. Apparently they've been more absent, injured of late. Rise in pregnancies among students, via prostitution or rape. Chaperone or club black egg, similar shelter. There's rumor going around. Black Yushin is apparently the symbol of schisma. There's rumor going around between some students that a black egg is charmed. The corpse was apparently discovered in Shakachi Park, discovered by an old man. Everything seems to be discovered by an old man. I'm starting to notice that. Victim 2, an old man witnessed. Victim 1. Where's Victim 1 summary? An old man. Tell me an old man found it. An old man witnessed something. Body was found by an old man. Everything seems to be found by an old man. An old man is always the one finding them. I can't imagine it's the same old man, or else the police would start to put that together, right? Oh, hey, this one guy keeps showing up at all the crime scenes, and, you know, the thing is, oh, the killer always goes back to the crime scene, right? That's the fucking rule of thumb, right? So it was an old man. No blood splatter. Right arm was severed, neck was twisted 180 degrees, abdomen was cut with scratches because of vital reaction. Morphine injected in the arm. Abortion. Poem of a new pain. Behoves me. Similar foam found in Orima's mouth. Cleft in the face from forelock unto chin, all the others whom thou here beholdest, disseminators of scandal and of schism while living were, and therefore are cleft us. Letter received from Ayumu used to confirm her handwriting. ID as Yumi Takugawa, student from Oizumi Academy. Henry went missing. Victor Kasaka frequents the Kichiki Pathological Research Institute. Kasaka. You know Kasaka. So we're looking for something to implicate him in the murder as a whole, though, right? Do you have anything that can implicate him? Is it the prescription? Uh-huh. Spotted by a businessman. Not an old man, but a businessman. It's always a man. Uh-huh. Adult male's fingerprints discovered on it. We don't know whose fingerprints. We just know they're an adult male's. Sheriff Native Neon has found Norihime's body. What if that had been his? What if he owned a copy of the book with the torn dust jacket? What if we could prove the fingerprints on it were his? Ooh, interesting, interesting, interesting. Save. Okay, save. I feel like we checked the school. Decided to go check Kasaka's desk at the Oba Girls Academy. Must have left his fingerprints there. Suddenly the phone rang. That can't be Ozmi, can it?
もしもし。
おレジ、大変だ。今上野から知らせがあってな。高城の嫁さんがいなくなったって。
なんだって。
The news hit me like a bolt from the blue. My stomach flipped as the worst case scenario flashed through my mind. This happened because...
今からそっちに車を回す。急いで上野まで出てきてくれ。
おい。
Tried to stop him, but Ozmi hung up before I could say anything. Slammed down the receiver and raced out of my office. This happened because Kazuna's pregnant?